I've tried a lot of interventions with my clients over the years, including art, music, worksheets, videos. There is one that I seem to always come back to because it works across ages, populations, situations, and interests, and that is discussion cards. So stay tuned and we'll talk more about it. The main reason I love discussion cards is because sometimes clients will surprise me with what they can share with just one question from a discussion deck, and sometimes that can lead into a whole session and bring up things that I would not have thought to talk about and they would not have thought to talk about. And discussion cards can also make a heavy session feel lighter or a surface level conversation feel deeper. They're great for building rapport, gathering information, when you're feeling stuck with a client, when you want a session to feel lighter, when you want a session to go deeper, when you want more structure in a session. There's so many good things that can come from using discussion cards. I want to talk a little bit about ways you can use discussion cards and some that I like to use, but first I encourage you to make your own discussion cards. I created a free template in my description if you want to check that out on Canva, but I really encourage this because you can create questions tailored towards your niche and your specific clients. It's literally as simple as typing some things out and dragging and dropping. So some things that might be helpful when thinking about using discussion cards in session. Some clients I think actually feel more comfortable and safer when they know that this is available to them. It can actually help balance the power dynamic. It's not like the therapist interrogating the client or asking questions. So instead of me always steering, it's the discussion cards kind of guiding the session. It kind of allows the client to choose what feels important to them, especially if you allow the option to pass on a question or if you give 2 or 3 options and let them pick which one they want to respond to. You can also be sneaky and set up the deck in a way where the questions that you want to talk about with the client are at the top. Another tip I have is to really notice the things that the client says that stand out to you. If something really stands out and makes you curious and makes you go, I want to know more about that, then go with that and ask questions to go deeper. Really have them expand on the questions. This can often lead to a whole session of talking about something that you wouldn't think to bring up. Discussion cards are also great for providing a sense of structure without rigidity. You could start the session with pulling a card, you can end it by pulling a card, you can have them available so if the client starts to feel like they don't want to feel that pressure to talk, you can pull some out in the middle of session. And you can also implement it in games if you get creative with it. For example, if you're playing like a card game of war or something, every time they pull a face card, maybe they'll pull a question. Some populations and situations that I think work well for discussion cards, well, first of all, I think any population or situation, but something that I automatically think about are teenagers. Sometimes they may feel awkward or pressured or on the spot, and discussion cards can kind of remove that pressure. People who are more guarded or closed off, those who might need more structure in sessions, even with ADHD, because it kind of gives one topic to focus on, but it also gives a variety. You can move on to the next question, and it doesn't feel boring or you're like harping on the same thing on the whole session. One example that comes to mind when I think about a time that I used cards in session that was really helpful was with a parent and child interaction. So I was using these parent-child discussion cards that I created, and they started talking about these feelings that they've been having that they didn't really communicate or maybe even didn't think to communicate to each other. And it was a really powerful session because it was all these things that were like maybe building resentment or they didn't feel comfortable enough to bring up on their own at home. And by having the card bring it up for them and having a therapist there as a third party really gave them the environment to talk about it and move on from certain things. So I actually created this deck because of these clients, and I've done this a few times. I've created my own decks because I wanted prompts to really fit with the situations that I was working with. I ended up making 5 different decks if you want to check them out. I have one for building parent-child relationships, music-focused icebreakers, values-based questions, using metaphor and imagination, and growth mindset questions. I have a link in my description if you're curious about them. But again, I encourage you to create your own using the free template that I've provided. Some other decks and discussion card games that I use and really like are Ungame, Uno is kind of like Uno, but with would you rather questions. Totika, it's like Jenga with questions. You answer the question depending on what color piece you pull. And I also really like the interactive deck, and these aren't question cards, but they are picture cards, and there's so many things you can do with it. You can check out the interactive website if you're curious. They have all kinds of prompts you can use. And I also like the ACT, CBT, and DBT decks. They give you different things to focus on, exercises to try. I've used these with clients. We pull a few at the end of the session and choose one that they want to focus on that week so we can talk about it next time. There's just so many different things. This is why I like discussion cards. There's just like literally endless options of ways to use it and different kinds to use. So let me know if you ever use discussion cards and which ones you like. I'm always looking to add more to my collection. And what are your go-to therapy interventions that you find yourself coming back to? Comment below. I love to hear. And thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was helpful for you. If it was, please like, share, and subscribe. I post videos on Fridays about mental health, music therapy, and counseling, all that kind of stuff. So subscribe if you want to see more. And I hope to see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.